It is Andryanna, and I'm so happy that you press play on this episode. Welcome to the Juggle is Real podcast. Now, I know that we are kind of in these busy months. We're in the crunch time of Q4, and there's a lot on the go, and we're doing so much, and there's so much that is expected of us. And I've been talking a lot about the to-do list and getting things done and being efficient and effective and what success means. But today, what I want to focus on and share a little bit about is what I like to call the art of not pushing through. That's right, not pushing through. When things feel hard, maybe if you don't have as much energy as you normally do, maybe you're not feeling well. There's a lot of sniffles and different things happening. And, if you got kids, they're bringing all sorts of interesting things home with them. And the art of not pushing through really means that you are not subscribing to the hustle. And even when you have a long to-do list, you know that taking that break or realizing what it is that you need in the moment is going to be more important than struggling, finding that challenge and pushing through. So I have three important things to share when it comes to the art of not pushing through. So if that sounds good to you, let's dive right in. Hey, I'm Andryanna Gonco, and this is the Juggle is Real podcast. As I share my ongoing journey from experiencing burnout to leading a more mindful and intentional life with better balance, I hope you feel seen, that you realize your worth, lighten your load, and prioritize your own needs. As we hear from leading experts and well-known faces in the wellness, entrepreneurship, education, and motherhood space, I hope you gain insights, proven practices, and learn actionable tools to help you enjoy the juggle of work, family, and everything in between with a little less stress and a lot more ease, joy, and fun. Most of all, I hope you find what you need to simplify, streamline, and supercharge your own journey of better balance and self-love. Are you with me? Let's get started. Hello, my friend. I'm truly so grateful to have you listening in. And like I mentioned, we're talking about not pushing through. When you can be okay with the fact that you're not a machine, you're not going to be able to go 110% all of the time. And when it happens, because it happens to absolutely everyone, when it happens that you just aren't feeling well, or you have a headache, or that cold is creeping in on you, or you just don't have as much energy, and maybe you're in a part of your cycle that your energy is a little bit lower than normal, you're not going ahead and making it harder on yourself and doing things that might harm you later on. So for this episode, I wanted to share three things that have been really helpful for me in realizing when I am pushing, realizing when I can maybe take my foot off the pedal a little bit, maybe pump the brakes a little bit, and find out what it is that I need. And that's what I want to talk to you about. So there's three things that I want to share. Number one is to put those blinders on. Number two is to ask for support. And number three is determine the type of reset that is best going to support you in the moment. So when it comes to the art of not pushing through, I totally get it, because we all have busy lives. We've got a ton of things happening, and there's so much on our plate. And so, sometimes we get to the point where we simply cannot go on. We simply cannot move forward. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit at the end of the episode. But when these things happen, when maybe we feel a cold coming on, or maybe we feel like that headache is creeping in, or we've woken up and we just don't have the energy that we normally have, I want you to think about putting the blinders on and visualize it, right? I want you to be very strict and very focused on a very narrow amount of tasks, because when you're not feeling up to par, trying to focus on your full to-do list really just isn't realistic. Trying to look at all of the things that you would normally accomplish in a day when you're not feeling well is not going to serve you. So when you can put the blinders on, you can narrow your focus to really look at the highest priority items only, right? So I'm going to say this, the dishes can wait, my friend, or that email back that I know it's been on your to-do list for a couple of days, but maybe you wait one more day. What are the tasks that you absolutely have to complete? What are those priority items? And I would say, if you're not feeling well, maybe stick to 3 priority tasks and try to complete them with as much ease as possible, and see if you can then, within those blinders, within that narrow scope, find some time for yourself to recuperate. So the art of not pushing through, tip number 1 is to put those blinders on. Tip number 2 goes hand in hand with that, because tip number 2 is to ask for support. And if we're taking our to-do list, we are focusing only on those high priority items, maybe the things that only we can do or accomplish. We're giving ourselves some grace. Maybe we're not doing as much as we normally do. When we can ask for support in these moments, then we're allowing those other items on our list to be completed by other people, by other resources, and we are asking for help. And I know this can be such a challenge. I know, especially as a woman, especially as mothers, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and society tells us, that we can do it all. And if you saw the Barbie movie, or if you saw clips or even social media posts, or you saw the famous monologue that was part of the movie, we know that we cannot get it right. Like, it's impossible to be a woman in society today. And one of the number one things that has helped me in this sort of journey to more balance and allowing myself a little bit more space is really just to ask for support. And I'm not saying that you need that huge village. And I know that we don't all have the quote unquote village that maybe we were always hoping for when we thought of it, or maybe that we would like to have. But where can you find support within the resources that you have? So it can be from a variety of people. If you have family members, if you have friends that you can call upon, and I'm not saying that you have to do this every day, but those people that you can count on from time to time. There can be colleagues, people that you're working with, maybe support staff that can really be of service in those times when you cannot push through. And it doesn't just have to be people. It can be different places, right? Maybe there are places that you can turn to that you can get that support. It can also be hiring out, or instead of going for groceries, maybe you are, spending that extra little amount just this one time to get the groceries delivered to your house. Maybe you are hiring a babysitter because you're not feeling well. So where can we ask for support in the times when we really cannot push any further? And knowing when we can be asking, knowing that if we're looking at our calendar, looking in advance, and we see that there's an especially full week or especially full couple of days, maybe we can ask for support in advance, knowing that, well, you know what, my schedule is jam-packed today, or I have a ton on my plate this week. Maybe this weekend I can ask for a little bit of help so that I can rest, so that I can recuperate. And in those moments when you're not feeling well, knowing that there is support out there and knowing that it's okay to ask for help can make all the difference. So the art of pushing through, we're going to put the blinders on, we're going to ask for support. And then number 3, which might be the most important, is we are going to determine the type of rest and reset that will best support us in the moment to know what's going to allow us to move on. So when we're not pushing through, we're not just going to do as much as possible and probably harm ourselves in the process. We can understand that there are different types of rest. There are different ways that we can support ourselves in these times. And it might work for you sometimes to take a nap. And I often talk about resting, but sometimes that's not what you need, right? Sometimes it might be to go for a walk, or just to have a quiet moment. So I want to talk about different types of rest as identified by Dr. Saundra Dalton-Smith. And you can decide maybe in these moments when you feel like you're stressed or you're overwhelmed or your energy levels are lower, what's going to best serve you in the moment. It's not always going to be a bubble bath. And, we can often talk about self-care. And I know I use the word self-care a lot, but what is it in the moment that's going to best serve you? And how can you invest in yourself to reset in the way that's going to be best suited for you right now? So we talk about physical rest, and I think that one's pretty obvious, right? So any activity that improves your mental health and well-being by physically resting your body. So it's going to bed earlier at night. Maybe you're not waking up as early or allowing yourself to sleep in. Maybe it is taking that nap halfway through the day, or that 20 minutes where you are laying down or sitting and you're allowing yourself some physical rest. But it can also be mental rest, right? So this can be meditation. This can be breath work. This can be just putting the to-do list away, putting your phone down, taking a break that allows you to separate yourself from whatever is on your mind. And I know you're a mom, there's always so much going through. So what can you do? It can even be like playing some incredible music that really allows you to just separate yourself from the moment and tune into something that is not that invisible workload or that load that's always going on in the back of your mind. So mental rest is really, really important as well. Another type of rest identified by Dr. Saundra Dalton-Smith is sensory rest. And again, if you're a mom, like, sometimes you're just touched out, right? Your senses are just on overdrive all the time. And we live in a society where there's so much happening and there's so much going on. Our phones are attached to our hip. There's so much stimulation from all of the senses around us. So sensory rest is when we can allow our mind and body a break from the noise and from the overstimulation. Literally going into another room for a few minutes of quiet might be all you need to reset and feel so much better as you move into the rest of your day. And this is why they have like quiet chambers and sensory deprivation rooms, places where you can go to take a break from all of those senses. So if that's something that might appeal to you, how can you remove that sensory overload, even for a short amount of time? Even just being in nature, going for a walk, not bringing your phone with you, taking a few deep breaths outside can be really helpful when it comes to that sensory rest. The fourth type of rest that is identified is creative rest. And that is not actually resting from the quote unquote, take a nap type of rest. This is making time in your day for creativity, for having fun, for play, something that is just for you. And I use the word to nurture. This is something that is not for anyone else, something that is just for you, something that is outside your daily agenda and the schedule and the go, go, go and the routine of it all. Making some time for creativity and fun and play can really be a way to fill your cup so that you don't have to trudge along in that heaviness. The fifth type of rest, as identified by Dr. Saundra Dalton-Smith, is emotional rest. And emotional rest can come in the form of saying no, my friend. If you're already at the point where you're not feeling well, or you are in that low energy, or you're just in a very busy time of year, saying no is okay. It's always okay, especially when you're not up to that 100% feeling. So taking time to exercise those boundaries, to set boundaries. What is it going to be for yourself? I know a couple years ago, my family, we were just in a really busy time of year. And so we made the decision to have stay-at-home Sundays. And that was a boundary that we had to set because we were always on the go. And so staying at home on Sunday meant if we got an invitation from a friend or from a family member to go out or to go to a charity event or to go to a dinner, we were saying no because we knew that we needed that emotional break and that rest emotionally to be able to exercise our own boundaries and allow space for ourselves to just process our emotions. There's a lot going on in society today, and there's so much happening when it comes to just really, really heavy things in the world and the things that we're experiencing in the Middle East, and being able to sit with and experience our emotions and process our emotions is really, really important. So giving ourselves the rest that we need to be at one with how we're feeling can be a really great way to reset. Two more types of rest, as identified by Dr. Saundra Dalton-Smith. The sixth one is the social rest, and that kind of goes hand in hand with what I was talking about with stay-at-home Sundays, but taking time to recharge away from others or curating that quality social interactions that are really rejuvenating. So it's not another, school fundraiser. It's not going to your kids' extracurricular activity because you don't want to be the only mom who's not doing it. When can you take that social rest to be alone with yourself or to engage in an activity that is really meaningful? So a high quality social interaction, maybe it's grabbing a coffee with your best friend whom you haven't seen, or getting on the phone or on a FaceTime with one of your best friends, or just having a really meaningful conversation and taking some time to connect and be with your spouse and have an actual conversation amongst the comings and the goings of the day. So social rest can be really important. And then the final type of rest is a spiritual rest. And that's really just partaking in those activities that provide us with the sense of community that many of us are really longing for, giving us that sense of purpose, that sense of belonging, and really filling our cup up from that spiritual perspective. I know I recently just joined a spiritual book club. I've talked about it on the podcast before, where we are reading the book, The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav. And I'm carving out this space for myself because I know how important it is to take time to come back and to be part of a meaningful community where we all have the same intention and we all are looking to grow and be mindful in similar ways. So looking to ways that you can engage in some type of a spiritual activity that is helpful for you. So it doesn't have to be religious. It doesn't have to be woo-woo. It can just be something that really allows you to have that sense of community, because a couple podcast episodes ago, when I was talking about the latest book by Arthur C. Brooks, he's talking about experiencing happiness, and that means to be with people and to have that sense of purpose. So how can you find that? By finding spiritual rest. So I know that the art of not pushing through, we can really just talk about self-care a lot. And I don't want it to sound frivolous. I don't want to use that word in a way that's going to sound like, oh, just go get a manicure, girl, and you're going to be all good. Because I know that there is so much more to uncover and unravel what it means to truly care for yourself. And so when I say to not push through when you're not feeling well or when you don't have that extra energy, I'm thinking that it's helpful that we can find that time in our day when we are completely done and when we don't have to push through any longer. And even if you're not feeling well, even if you're having a great day, even if you have a great amount of energy, I think as moms, especially as entrepreneurs, we have this feeling where we can never truly feel like we're done. Like there's always one more thing to do. And like, I'll just quickly sweep the floors before I get into bed tonight, or I'll just check off that one more item on our to-do list. But I feel like it's really important to be able to be at a point in our lives where we can accomplish these important tasks, the things that we need to do, but come to a point where we can simply be done. And we know, yes, tomorrow there's going to be more items to do. Maybe we didn't accomplish everything today that we set out to do, but at a certain point, maybe it's a certain time, or maybe it's after completing so many activities, we can simply be done. So it's not emptying the dishwasher. It's not sending one more email. It's not researching one more item, or it's not doing one more thing for our kids' school. It's being done for the day so that you can engage in maybe the types of rests that are going to be more fulfilling for you, so that you can really step away from the mental load and you can engage in the activities that are going to help, quote unquote, fill your cup. So, we can do this in a number of ways. And for me, I like to end my day at 3 o'clock because that's when my kids are coming home. And so I try as much as possible to get as much as I need to do by 2:45. And at 2:45, I'm looking at my to-do list, and then I'm making a to-do list for the next day. And I'm looking at what are the priorities for my next day. If there are any last minute items that absolutely have to be done, and then I'm going to make arrangements afterwards to do that. But how can I be done for the day knowing that I did my best, knowing that I put my best foot forward, and not feeling guilty about it, not shaming myself for not getting as much done as I had hoped to do, or not feeling bad because I took that walk and then I didn't get that other item done. It's being done for the day so that you can sit with it, be really content, and understand that you're only one person. You can only do so much, and you can only really be happy and find that joy and contentment, and not get to the point where you are reaching that burnout, when you can be content and know that you're done for the day. So on that final point, and when we're talking about being done for the day, I know those of us who have those perfectionistic tendencies, we want to, be really thorough in the tasks, and we want to make sure that we are checking off all those boxes. It might be difficult for us to get those tasks complete because we want to do it at a level that's maybe a little bit more difficult to achieve. And sometimes that creates a little bit of a procrastination. And I know that I'm guilty of this, where I don't quite know how to do it perfectly. So sometimes I don't even do it at all. So I'm learning as I go that one small step at a time really just lead to things actually getting done. So if that sounds like you, then being mindful about that being done for the day, and giving yourself that grace to know that you don't have to push through. You don't have to carry forth in a way that's not serving you. And if you're already at the point where you have been pushing through, if you're at the point where you're thinking about the types of rests and you're like, I need all of these, and I don't even know if that's going to help, even if I complete all of these things. And now I'm feeling guilty because I've just added 7 types of rest to my to-do list, and I have no idea when I'm going to find the time to do this. And you've been pushing, and you don't even know how much longer you can push through. I want you to know that it's okay. Many of us have been there. I know I've been there. For me, it expressed as experiencing burnout, and this might be you in this moment. And there's different types of burnout. And so I just want to share in these last couple of minutes of this podcast episode some different types of burnout that you might be feeling. And I want you to know that it's okay, because there is mental burnout, that complete mental exhaustion, where you have a really hard time focusing, where no matter how hard you're trying, you just aren't really satisfied with the work that you're doing. You don't feel like you're doing anything good enough. You might be getting a lot of headaches. And I know that when stress piles up for me, it manifests as a headache or those migraines. And so mental burnout can look like this. And there's other things that it can look like as well. When we're talking about physical burnout, that's honestly like just feeling absolutely physically exhausted all the time. And it doesn't even matter if you had a good night's sleep the night before, you are still physically feeling so tired. You have that frequent fatigue where it's like maybe you're reaching for that other next, third, fourth cup of coffee and you're still feeling super tired. And maybe you are getting sick more often. Even if you have kids and even if they're bringing stuff home from school, you are more susceptible, and you're finding that you're getting sick more often, or maybe even some different types of diseases have sprung up that are kind of out of left field. So that can be what physical burnout looks like. A third type of burnout can be emotional. Emotional burnout is like when you when you're just feeling like nothing's good enough, where you feel like such a total loser, a complete failure. You really have no sense of motivation. You don't have that get up and go. The art of not pushing through is kind of how you're living your life right now. And you're really just doubting yourself all the time. And you're feeling like you're stuck, but you really don't know how to take that next step forward. And then social burnout is a fourth type of burnout where you're just really just at that point where everything is too much. Like you're in that sensory overload. And we talked about taking a sensory rest in this episode, but you just have that icky feeling like you don't even want to go to the grocery store, to the pharmacy. You don't even want to go see your friends or go out anywhere. And you feel really detached even when you are out. Maybe you're like just constantly looking at your phone, or you're, just trying to scroll through and detach yourself from that everyday life. And you're just dreading any sort of social task that you have to do. So I just want you to know that if you're feeling this way, if you've reached the point of any type of burnout, I see you and I understand how you're feeling and I understand where you are. And I want you to know that it's okay that you're in this place. It is not your fault. There's so many things that are happening around us. It can be really, really challenging. But what I want you to do, if you feel like you can't push through any longer, I want you to stop and I want you to contact a healthcare provider. I had a lot of success working with a naturopath where I live in Northern Ontario, but burnout really, it's affecting your nervous system. And so when I talk about the frivolous things like taking a bath or getting your nails done or going for coffee with a friend, sometimes that just feels like too much. And these everyday habits of self-care aren't going to be enough to get you to the point where you feel emotionally, physically, mentally, and socially regulated. So you have to regulate your nervous system in order to recover. And a healthcare provider can help you with this and bring you to the point to perhaps put those blinders on, perhaps ask for the support you need, and then determine exactly what it is, the type of reset that's required to get you to the point where you're feeling good again, where you do not have to push through any farther. And so that's where I'm going to end things for this episode today. And I'm so grateful that you stuck with me and you listened to this whole episode. If it was helpful for you, if you learned something new, I would really, really appreciate if you could leave me a quick review in Apple Podcasts. If you could rate this episode and share it with one friend, someone who could really use this message, who could hear this supportive information and maybe decide that they're done pushing through and really it can help them as well. So definitely share with someone. And I will see you here for another episode of the Juggle is Real podcast. Thank you so much. Take good care.